English accent?
It's one of my English accents, yeah.
What's happened here?
I can do it. Or he can fucking...
Why are we
Or
doing
I can act like
this?
I'm in Dublin.
That's
a fucking Irish accent.
You've
you know what I'm saying?
just been to Dublin, haven't you?
I have.
Was it good?
We is a fucking great
Good.
time. It was a fucking great time.
John, come on! What's happening? I'm backstage in Birmingham with the legend that is John Otto from Limp Bizkit. John, you're on the road with Limp Bizkit for the Loserville tour. Early days, but how's it going so far?
It's going great. It's going great. Happy to be here. Nice to meet you, Ollie.
Stop it. Come on, we've just met. What are you doing?
And, no, it's good. So far, so good. We've had 2 shows. We're 2 shows in, and the crowds have been great and excellent. No complaints.
I think it's fair to say, for me, and I'm going to make a really big statement about your music here, I think Rollin is to this generation what Living on a Prayer was to the last generation. How do you think that song became so successful, and what do you think it was about, in particular, your style of drumming within that song that maybe inspired so many of other drummers?
Well, thank you. That's
You're welcome.
A huge compliment.
Call it £10. No, I'm joking.
I think that... So that's kind of a multifaceted question. I think in general, the style of it is like you said, it's for a newer generation that kind of captures elements of hip-hop mixed with rock in a very expressive way, and I feel the drums reflect that as far as the groove and the feel that mix in with Fred's raps and the style of the band, so I feel like it's very head nod, pocket groove.
Yes, yeah,
So-
I completely agree. And we're talking about inspiring young drummers.
Yes.
What would your advice be to an aspiring drummer that looks at you as one of their heroes and cites you in such high esteem?
I would say practice, practice, practice. And I would say also go for your dreams. Don't be scared to go for your dreams. Be inspired, and don't put a limit on what you can do. As long as you put out the work and have good intentions, things should fall into place for you. And as long as you put the work in. Yeah.
And when you say about practicing from a drummer's perspective, do you think that sight reading is something that is important to a drummer, or is it an instrument that can be conquered just through feel and groove alone?
I think that you don't need sight reading to become a drummer.
Okay.
And to become a very good drummer. There are plenty of drummers out there that don't know the first thing about reading music, that are just have a great natural feel. I mean, that's how I started too. But, I also did study so that I could be able to sight read and do these things. And those kind of things just kind of add to your value as a drummer, and to be able to conquer other things that you might not necessarily be into, and expand your mind into other areas, not just rock music or pop music, or you start getting into some jazz. You start understanding how to read for orchestral stuff or whatever. I went to an art school. Wes and I both went to same art school growing up, and I learned a lot there through. I was in the jazz band and also did the orchestra and symphony and all that stuff too. So I know those were great experiences.
Yes.
They teach you a lot, And so sight reading is good, but I don't think that it's completely necessary.
Okay.
But it is. I'm from that whole belief that the more you can do, the better off you are.
Yeah, I think Art Cruz from Lamb of God was very open about the fact that he can't sight read, and I think for some drummers, it's nice to hear other drummers say, like yourself, say, yeah, it's a great tool to have, but if you don't necessarily need it to have that groove, to have that feel.
That's not going to define you whether you can sight read or not.
I like that. So you're obviously back on the road with Limp Bizkit, Loserville. It's a hugely exciting tour. In your years of travelling the world and playing these huge arenas where we are, today, what for you has been the biggest Spinal Tap moment of your career? What has happened where you've thought, yeah, this could have happened to Nigel Tufnell or David St Hubbins? What do you think's happened there?
I mean, that's a tough That's a tough question
Okay.
because I feel like we're kind of living Spinal Tap. But, you know, if you're taking it serious past our name, then you're taking it too serious. But, you know, we're very serious about playing and stuff. But, yeah, we've had so many Spinal Tap moments. It's hard to kind of sift through them right on the spot. But, you know, it's an everyday
There's
thing.
a lot.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, you've never spontaneously combusted. So that's...
No, but I have crazy dreams about all of a sudden playing naked or something, and then
that wasn't a
what's
dream,
going
no,
on? You know, like I have, you know, or I'm late and then I forgot the snare drum, like just crazy anxiety dreams that could be Spinal Tap, but.
Talking about obviously your snare, your drum kit to a lot of people, you know, they absolutely love the way it looks, the way it sounds. Tell us about this, if you can briefly tell us about this setup that you've got for this particular tour. Is it the one that was on show at NAMM 2025?
Yes, it is. It's slightly different.
Okay.
My wonderful tech and great friend Gabe put that together for me, and that one is going to be used for Metallica because that's a special rack. So I don't know if you were there, so maybe you got to see it. It's a special rack system that can be broken apart instantly almost.
Wow.
This one here is slightly different, but it's the same drum setup. You know what I mean? But different rack system.
Right. Okay. And your kits over the years have pretty much remained the same to a degree, haven't they? I know you've added a couple of splashes here and there or an additional tom or something, but you've always had that same kit. That is the thing that feels most comfortable for you, this setup, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, once again, I know we're pushed for time, but I want to finally ask you, if I may, what is the John Otto legacy? How do you want to be remembered in 100 years? Somebody, for example, is listening to your work right now and they've stumbled across this interview. What's your legacy?
Just that I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful I love drums. I love music. I'm grateful to the drumming community and to all the guys that came before me to help craft me into my style of what I do. And hopefully I can be remembered for having my own take on drums and my own feel and my own sound. And also, about, you know, giving back and inspiring young guys. And, you know.
I think you've done that. You've sold 40 million records, John, so I think you've inspired quite a few people.
I think so, you know, and then, you know, just kind of push it forward for the next generation. So.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you've done for the drumming community. Can't wait to see how the rest of the tour pans out for you. But for now, John Otto, thank you for joining me on Drummers Review.
Thanks,
and
Ollie.
Best of luck with the tour.